Well, hello again, welcome back. Thank you for clicking on this video. Cool. So in today's video I'm going to talk about my post 1 year endometriosis update. So since I've had my baby, I asked you guys on my social platforms if you had any specific questions. I'm going to answer that. How has endometriosis treated my body, any pains, how my period,
symptoms, etc, etc.
You might have endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, all of these gynecologist related issues. So we're going to pretty much talk a little bit about that today. I just want to make a disclaimer, guys. I am not a gynecologist, I am not a medical expert. It's my body and I'm just sharing with you my journey. And then I thought that I would just include other body related questions in this video as well, so common questions that people ask or some dilemmas that people go through in regards to body image. So if this video sounds interesting to you, then keep watching, like, comment, subscribe and share the videos. And also I'm just going to show you guys how I just do my basic go-to makeup, and we're gonna get ready together. Let's get right into the video. So I have spoken about this on my video before, guys. I suffered with stage 4 endometriosis, which is basically or should I say I was diagnosed with which is basically the final stage of this condition, and it's basically a disease that can impact your fertility, and actually a lot of women have it and they don't realize that they have it. And generally what happens is that you might have like really painful periods, you might have like really heavy flow periods. I did do a story about that before, so I'm going to just link the video so you guys can go and watch it. I did have a laparoscopy, and that's how I was diagnosed with it. A few years later, I had my baby. And before I had my baby, guys, like the doctors were almost kind of like, it's never gonna happen. My gynecologist, every time I used to see him, he was literally always like, so
you got a man, this baby thing, we need to talk about it.
Because the stage that I was at, obviously with my age, I'm 30 now, so with my age, you know, obviously as women, we know our biological bodies, the older we get, the harder it is to conceive. He was getting quite concerned, and with endometriosis, which I'm sure you probably know, it's incurable. So once you kind of have it, you kind of have it for life basically, and you just kind of control it and manage it rather than cure it. So I had my baby, and it was almost like a miracle. Like even the way the doctors were going on about it, it was literally like as if like deep down they thought that I wasn't going to conceive. So what is it like 1 year after I've had my baby? So I've shared this before as well, like basically with the endometriosis I had a pneumothorax, which is basically when my lung collapsed, and it was spontaneous. So when my lung collapsed at the time, the doctors kind of, I would say assume, because it was never really like where's the evidence kind of thing, that my endometriosis caused my lungs to collapse. Because basically what happens with endometriosis is that when you get your periods, the blood is supposed to kind of like flow outside, the tissue is supposed to like kind of like fall out and flow outside, but with endometriosis it kind of like goes all over the place, so tissues get stuck like everywhere, and it can even block your fallopian tubes. And it was basically like I had tissues stuck everywhere, like even on my lungs as well. So they really thought that you know, my that the endometriosis caused my lungs to collapse. So, and to control the endometriosis, I used to take a contraception called Zoladex, which is basically like an injection that you get like every month. You can either have it either like on your thigh or like on your stomach, and I basically used to get that every single month. For anyone who doesn't have endometriosis but you have fibroids, I know somebody very close to me who also has fibroids, and they had to have surgery, and basically they've been managing their fibroids with like natural healthy eating habits, and completely just change her lifestyle to manage her fibroids. And her fibroids were really big. Like if I'll ask her for like the measurements, obviously if you've got fibroids you will kind of understand. And she basically just started to change her eating habit, started to change her diet, and yeah, her fibroids started to shrink. And if you have fibroids, you will know that your stomach literally can swell up and get so big, like you actually look pregnant. And also with endometriosis, so basically the way with the endometriosis, I try not to say my endometriosis because I'm not trying to claim that, but you guys know the gist. So with the endometriosis, I developed a condition called ascites, which is basically where it's basically fluid in your system. And I developed so much fluid, like I looked 6 months pregnant at one point, like so much fluid, guys. And it would stretch my stomach, it will get so big. I was supposed to get this drained, but by the time that I was going to get it drained, that's when I found out that I was pregnant. So yeah, I've had this fluid for like a very long time. They say that with endometriosis, it kind of calms down like after you've had children. Now I obviously know people that after they have had children, the endometriosis has literally like flared up and like come back. That's why I do want to stress that it really like depends like on your body, and obviously everybody's body is different, you know what I mean? So the way my body reacts to things is going to be different to the way your body is. I did receive a question on my Instagram, so I'm gonna answer that quickly. Someone on my Instagram said, what are the effects it has on your body? So since having my baby, I have literally not had any kind of pain. Everything has been really mild. Now I know that I still have it, because not just because obviously the doctors tell you that you will have it for life, but I do still have like quite a lot of fluid. It definitely has brought like other challenging health conditions, but it's not anything like life-threatening. Yeah, definitely I have seen like a change since then. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go through just like a few questions, because I didn't really get like that many personal questions. In regards to body image, let's have a read through some questions. How can I tell whether I have a healthy or poor body image? How much body criticism is still considered healthy? So I don't think any body criticism is healthy at all, especially not from others. I think there's nothing wrong with looking at your body and being like, I can improve this for my health. I don't think body criticism is healthy at all. So growing up, I used to hate my lips, guys. Like my lips used to be so dark. I've spoken about this before, yeah. My lips are quite dark, and people used to ask me like if I smoked weed, and I was just like, I hated it, to the point where I actually wanted to get a permanent lip color. When I was inquiring about it, the lady that I would inquire, she was telling me that she doesn't really think that it would work on my lip color, because my lip color has got so much pigment. Basically it's so dark that the colors won't be able to come through. Yeah, that was a little bit discouraging. I think I'm just getting to the point where I'm not really that bothered about it anymore, to be honest. So let's read it through another question. I'm a 49-year-old woman who has excess body hair at my bikini line. I hate to use a razor all the time. Is there any other way? What I would probably recommend is, I know waxing like really hurts, but one tip that I would say with waxing, if you use like a hair removal cream, or if you've got like a lot of excess hair, always trim them down. Like never go to like wax without trimming down your hair, because obviously the more longer they are, the more coarse it is, the more painful it's going to be. But if you hate using like a razor, like at me as well, because sometimes the razor will give you like a bump, hair removal cream is always a good starting point, because it doesn't hurt. I know some people say that it burns them, but probably you've left it on for too long. It doesn't hurt. It will grow back a bit quicker, but once you get used to it, then probably move on to waxing. Like sugar waxing is a lot more gentle, so maybe try that. My boyfriend and I seem to have a delicate balance when it comes to weight and body image issues. I know he really likes how skinny girls look. He has told me this many times, and I know he would be happier if I weighed less. He never comes right out and says that, always tells me I look fine, but I suspect that this is how he really feels. Sometimes I want to throw that back in his face, as he's not the ideal body type either, if you know what I mean. Any advice for me? It really just sounds like you need to get rid of that guy. Like, I hate it when guys, yeah, they have a type but they go for the opposite, but then they want to make noise about it. Like sometimes like tall guys, they will go for short girls, but then they will always want to make it out, oh you're short, oh you're so small, did you not see my height? Like, where we got together? Like, I don't understand. I hate it when people do that. You shouldn't be with somebody that affects your self-esteem to that point, to that level where you feel like that. It's either you have a really long chat with him and you sit him down and you're like, listen, it really actually affects me when you're talking about, you know, when you're talking about my weight like that. Like, I don't appreciate it. And like, especially when he is definitely not even your cup of tea anyway, tell him like, I don't want you to talk about my weight again. And then if it's something that continues, then yeah, ditch him. I'm gonna do one last question. So when I was in school, I was naturally thin. People used to comment on how skinny I was, and I thought they were repulsed. As a result, I was very self-conscious and used to hide behind big sweaters. When I think back though, I realized that they were probably actually speaking with envy rather than revulsion. Sometimes these things sound almost the same. That's definitely true. It makes me sad that I could not enjoy who I was then because of what I perceived to be negative comments. Nowadays, I'm not so thin and I wish I could go back in time. The fact that I had a 23-inch waist and didn't even appreciate it drives me crazy to think about it. And I wonder, will I ever be happy with who I am right now? So what we'll probably say to that question is everybody evolves. Like, your body evolves. Like, the older you get, you know, your body changes. You're not always going to have that same body, and you need to embrace the body that you have today. You know, whether you got that body from eating too much donuts, you know, too much takeaway, or whether you got that body like through babies or whatever, like, you need to just embrace your body. Like, that's literally one thing that I learned. Like, the body that I used to have is not the body that I have today. And actually, the body that I used to have, I used to also be like ashamed and embarrassed about certain body parts, and you know, I kind of felt like, oh, because it wasn't the norm then. And also, don't embrace your body based on trends. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, embrace your body regardless. So I will say to that question, like, you know, don't beat yourself up about it to the point where you're so self-conscious. That's all you're thinking about, that's all you're dreaming about. Because baby girl, even if you had that body through surgery or whatever, the likelihood is that you're still gonna have insecurities. Embrace your body. But yeah guys, so I've come to the end of my video. This is pretty much my basic everyday kind of look. I would have loved to do more questions, like personal questions, but I didn't really get many questions. So yeah, no, if you guys don't follow me on my social platform, then do go ahead and follow me. Then I will have the links at the end of the video. Please do like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.